Episode 1, Exodus and Memorial, Preparing Our Children for First Holy Eucharist.
Oh, hey there. I'm just putting a little blood on my doorposts and lintels. You don't do this? You've never seen this before? When before Passover, we put the blood of the Passover lamb on our doors? You don't know what I'm talking about? Well, this is a pretty unusual custom. It's not an image that we see very often, is it? It's a little gross, as a matter of fact, isn't it? All this business of blood. I wonder, what kind of story is it that this image comes from, to put blood on our doorposts and lintels? Let's listen to the story and see why God might use an image like this to teach us about something like First Communion.
The story of Exodus. A little girl named Alice had a Bible storybook. She often liked to read it as she sat beside a brook. One day she picked a story that was thrilling as can be, all about a man named Moses and the parting of the sea. As Alice read, the airmail bird stopped by just for a minute to deliver her a letter with this little message in it. Reading is the special key to take you where you want to be. Her book became a great big picture screen. The screen grew tall and wide, and Alice took a little walk to Bible land inside. She looked around, and suddenly, much to her surprise, an Israelite named Moses appeared before her eyes. A cruel Egyptian pharaoh many years ago had enslaved the Israelites and became their bitter foe. Now, God had called on Moses and gave him this command: "Free the Israelites from Egypt and lead them from that land." So Moses went to Pharaoh and made this solemn plea: "Let God's chosen people go. Let them all be free." The Pharaoh answered angrily, "Let your people go? Why, who will work and slave for me?" The answer's no, no, no. God chose to send a message to show God's awesome might. The Nile River flowed with blood before that very night. The Egyptians had no water. They were thirsty as can be. But still the Pharaoh wouldn't let the Israelites go free. And then God sent another plague to show God's mighty hand. Frogs of every shape and size filled up Pharaoh's land. Great big frogs were on his throne, his table, and his bed. They jumped and croaked and hopped until Pharaoh finally said, "Tell God to take away these frogs, and I'll set God's people free." But Pharaoh didn't keep his word and acted wickedly. So God sent other plagues to him. Lice crawled everywhere, then flies, a million zillion flies, came buzzing through the air. God sent more plagues to Egypt to show what God could do. First, he took their cattle and their other livestock too. Then God sent more plagues of fire and hailstones everywhere. The Egyptians all got rashes, and then Locusts filled the air. After every plague God sent, Moses made his plea. Let God's chosen people go. Let them all be free. And after every plea he made, Moses always heard, soon, soon I'll free the Israelites. And then Pharaoh broke his word. And so God sent God's greatest plague, and with God's mighty hand, a darkness covered Egypt, every corner of the land. The Israelites all marked their homes as they were told to do, so they would be passed over as an awful plague came through. The angel of death swept through the land, and when the plague was done, Egyptian families everywhere all mourned their firstborn sons. The angel of death took Pharaoh's son, and when Moses made his plea, Pharaoh freed the Israelites. At last, they would be free. Moses led the Israelites. The Red Sea lay ahead, and when they came upon its shore, their hearts were filled with dread. For after Pharaoh let them go, he changed his mind, and then he sent his army after them to make them slaves again. The Israelites looked at the sea. Their hearts were filled with fear. They had no boats to get across, and Pharaoh's men were near. Moses lifted up his arms. God caused the sea to part. The Israelites crossed safely, each with a thankful heart. The Pharaoh's army followed. When they were halfway crossed, God caused the sea to fill in again, and all their lives were lost. The time had come for Alice to leave this Bible scene. She came back home from Bible Land by walking through her screen. Alice thought, I learned a lot today in Bible Land. There is no power great enough to stop what God has planned. And those who follow in God's way and practice what is right will know they are protected by God's holy, awesome might.
I have a question for you. What was Jesus' religion? Was Jesus a Catholic like you and I are? No, of course not. Jesus was a faithful Jew. And that story about putting blood on our doorposts and on our lintels, that was an important part of Jesus' Jewish faith. In fact, remembering the Passover is still an important event for faithful Jews today. Our beloved Jesus was a faithful Jew. And remembering the Passover was essential to his faith. It wasn't just imagining this thing that happened a long time ago. No. The Jewish concept of memorial or remembering was for Jesus and is for Jews today the action of making the entire story alive again. And so when Jesus, as a faithful Jew, would put blood on his doorposts and lintels, they were making alive again, making real again, the entire story of the Exodus and the Passover. That was Jesus' faith. In my house, growing up, most of the big events, most of our big stories happened in the kitchen. And they especially happened when we were having a special meal together. Special meals with family are very important times, aren't they? Can you think of any special meals in your family? Times when the people you love gather around the kitchen for preparing food and eating food and sharing stories and love. Pause the video now and talk with your special grown-up about the question, what are the special meals and the special memories that go with those meals in our family?
I'm glad you had a chance to talk with your special grown-up about the special meals in your family, the times that you prepare food and share and make memories as a family. Communion, or Holy Eucharist, is our story as a Catholic Church about preparing and sharing and participating and remembering all the special meals of our family of faith. St. Francis Xavier Parish has been around for 125 years. And in all that time, there have always been children and families just like you preparing for the sacrament of First Holy Eucharist. This First Communion is your beginning of participating in our church's special meal, the way that we share and remember together.